Oh, there he is.
Hello. Sorry about that. I was having connection
Hey,
issues.
welcome. We're your perfect timing, Max. We just went live.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, Max.
How are you doing, Jim?
Good.
I'm doing wow. This is
How are you
great.
doing, Jim? Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, everybody with the green team. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Man, after hearing, I was listening on the radio last night to the coverage of the convention where they were putting front and center things like racial justice
hmm
and taking care of the climate and all these things and treating each other compassionately. And then every life matters equally. And it was like, wow, I've forgotten that we could actually have leaders that could talk like that at least.
Yeah, and we've talked about that during our webinars with the people in the group, so it fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. So, so today on the podcast, I've got Jim Sando and Max Sano. I'm not sure if how do you pronounce your last name? Is that
Sano is fine. Yeah.
okay? Good.
Thank you.
Okay. And they're both from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They're both part of the Citizens Climate Lobby chapter there. And, when I've been reaching out to people and asking them if they are interested in doing something for the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, to taking some idea, getting it going within 90 days. I had a couple people say, I can't think about that right now because I'm focused on the election. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That's exactly the kind of thing that if you work as a team and if you use some of these strategies that we're going to be doing in the whole process of jumpstarting your initiative and connecting you with mentors, you're going to actually be able to make a bigger impact. So that's why I wanted to invite both Max and Jim to join us. And Max, I think I'll start with you. So you're a student at a university, and that must be pretty weird right now. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what's going on with that. And so, do you want to just kind of introduce yourself and tell what your connection is to this?
Yes, absolutely. So once again, my name is Max Sano, and I'm a rising junior at Franklin and Marshall College. And moving back has been a bit of a weird process. I've been in quarantine with family up until early July back home. So coming back and taking the right precautions while also making sure I was prepared and I'm prepared for the incoming all the work that I've been doing with Citizens Climate Lobby has started since my freshman year. So it really feels like this fall is like the culmination of all the work that we've been doing so far, especially with getting students involved. That was something that I noticed was lacking at F&M, even though there's a lot of interest. There was not a lot of organization in terms of linking students with actual volunteer and activism opportunities. And Citizens Climate Lobby has been, and Jim in particular, has been very helpful with that. He's come to F&M and spoken about the work he's done and the work that Citizens Climate Lobby does, getting local communities involved in the political process, registered to vote. And the biggest part of it is just not thinking of the political process and of climate action as two separate processes, but as one and the same. And I think that's something that Citizens Climate Lobby does a really good job with in terms of its various tools and resources it provides for both the public and for policymakers.
Cool. Well, thank you. And I think your video froze. I don't know if you want to turn it, if there's a way to turn it off and back on.
Oh, I could try again if it was, I can try to leave and come back if that.
Or see if you can turn your video off and back on, maybe. Yeah. Stop your camera. Nope. I think it's, here. If you want to pop out and try and pop back in, because I know you said you haven't connection.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Sorry about that. Should
You can do whichever you want. Actually, I think it froze. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take this time to Jim. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what all you guys are doing with Citizens Climate Lobby?
Sure. I'm Jim Sando, and I'm one of the co-leaders of the Citizens Climate Lobby group in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And this kind of all started for us when we had our Earth Day program canceled. And actually, what we had planned is one of I think page 22 in your workbook. We had a group of young people going to come in and talk about what they think their lives will be like in 30 years. That was our Earth Day program.
Cool.
And it was all set up and then poof, So through much discussion, we got to thinking, what can we do that will really have an impact? And the Citizens Climate Lobby is nonpartisan. Voting is also nonpartisan. So we decided that we would try and get people that are interested in the environment to vote. And so that has become our project. And we picked 3 programs that actually will help you do that. So you don't have to come up and invent anything new. And we have a phone option, a letter writing option, and a postcard option. So we give people, they can do all of them or they can do one of them. And we just want them to get involved in helping make people vote this year, because the environment is a big issue on the ballot this year. So while we don't say anything in our correspondence about endorsing a candidate, we do say vote for the environment.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
And how about you, Max? What are you guys? So do you have a group that's working together in the university, or is it just you, or how are you doing that?
So there is a student organization called Environmental Action Alliance, and they are a student-run group that works out of the Franklin and Marshall Sustainability Center. And the main work that they do is running what's called the Fair Trade Cafe. So students every week, they make a soup and grilled cheeses and other like meals from locally sourced food, usually from community-supported agriculture farms, and do that. But a large part of the work too is just getting involved in the community, doing volunteer work with organizations like Alliance to Chesapeake Bay that does invasive species removal, but also Sunrise Movement, which has done a lot of different protests, including in Lancaster at Binns Park in the fall last year. I was able to bring some students there. And I know that that'll be something that students are going to want to keep doing this fall, especially with all of the other activism that has been going on, particularly the last few months. Yeah, people think that CCL and Sunrise don't get along. We do. We work very well with them, and they are included in our emails, and they're frequently at our meetings, and we work with them as often as we can. And a lot of students that I, like myself included, will like work with both organizations because at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same challenges and goals. It's just a matter of what our focuses are, and how we go about doing it.
Yeah. So when I talk to people at F&M, I say, well, you only have 3 choices. You can join Citizens Climate Lobby, you can join Max's group and Sunrise, or you can join both. But you don't have the option to do nothing.
No, not right now.
Option this year. So
right now.
Yeah. So we've definitely been pushing to get the young students involved, and hopefully we're going to sign up a bunch more of them before the October 18th, I think it is, deadline in Pennsylvania.
So Max, how are you guys? What are you doing to outreach? Are you doing one of those, the phone letter writing or postcards? Is there one you're going for?
The one that I think would probably be the easiest to get as many people as possible is the phone banks, just because I know people sometimes just feel more comfortable talking, and I know that's something that Environmental Action Alliance, my group, has done in the past. So I know we'll focus on that, but I want to work and reach out to members of the club to kind of work on all of the 3 Get Out the Vote initiatives, because I think that there's something more personal about writing a letter to your political officials. I think that even though it might seem a little bit old-fashioned, it can go a long way, I think, especially if you are doing it with a bunch of other concerned citizens. And there's a lot of F&M students that might not know exactly how to contribute to like the solution, but want to. And I think that these programs will help people feel a little bit less helpless too, especially
Yeah.
with having to have been home this whole time.
Right. So are you guys thinking of signing up for the climate action challenge so that you could set a goal for like, all right, let's get this many members and make this many phone calls, or, you know, set some kind of goal for yourself?
I'm having a meeting with the leaders of my club tomorrow to figure out exactly what we want to focus on this fall. So that's definitely something that I want to talk about with them.
Yeah.
And we've invited them to join us, but I would like to see him do their own challenge. I think that would be great if they could do one on campus. Yeah.
That would be cool. And you might still be able to do some in person. Are you guys meeting in person on campus, or
As of
are
right
all
now,
your
it's
classes-
hybrid. So the
Oh, okay.
capacity at F&M is probably around 50%. They're only going to be bringing back like around 800 to 1,000 students, which is usually around 2,300 students. So they're just trying to keep account for like testing capacity and contact tracing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Cool. So, Jim, and I see a note from Susan, excited to get on board with the message, fewer obstacles, more action, just do it. I like that.
Yeah.
And
we'll take Nike's slogan. We don't mind.
No, yeah.
They probably stole it from somebody else.
Yeah.
So Jim, do you want to start by explaining what the different programs are that you're using and how those each work? Or
Sure.
However you guys want to do it.
The letter writing program is a program called Vote Forward, and you go on to their website and you can pick a campaign. They have all the campaigns. They're in 10 swing states. So I scroll down to Pennsylvania. There's 2 different campaigns in Pennsylvania. I pick one. It says, would you like to print 5 letters or 20 letters? So if I print 20 letters, it automatically sends them to my printer. And about half of it is pre-printed, and it sends a list of the person that the letter is going to. So then you personalize them, and you handwrite the envelope, because that's really, people don't see handwritten envelopes very often.
Right.
So the contribution for the person to do that is the envelope and the stamp. So for people that are a little more fiscally challenged, the postcards are 35 cents instead of 55 cents. And that's a program called Postcards to Swing States. And if you go on there, you sign up and you tell them where you are, and they have to go through a process, and they approve you, and then they will send you 200 pre-printed postcards, which I won't get mine till next week. But then your contribution to that, there again, is the stamp. So, and then you get 200. Now, for people in our group, we're saying, yeah, you can get 200, but you can hand them out in packs of 25 or 50 or whatever you want to do. You don't have to do all 200 yourself. I'm doing 200, but I don't expect everybody to do 200. So that's another way you can go. And the phone bank option we're using is the Environmental Voter Project, which is now also in 10 states. And you sign on to them, and it's very much like you would sign on to a phone bank for your local candidate. You use their dialer on your computer, so you don't have to have any special equipment. It brings up the script for you. It's very short and simple. Right now, they're dialing mostly for people to ask for a mail-in ballot.
And then that's a good idea.
They will pivot to get out the vote as they go. And it depends on the state. Not every state allows mail-in ballots. But so there, you sign up for like a 1-hour shift, and the calls are screened to people that have shown interest in the environment. So you're getting people that are somewhat sympathetic to what you're doing. You're only going to talk to them for 1 or 2 minutes, and you're asking them to get out their vote or to mail in ballot, or you can send them the information to how to get a mail in ballot in their state. And then you fill out the little check marks on the form,
Mm.
and you hit next, and that data is automatically entered into their database, and you go on to the next call. So it's very simple, and there can, just like Vote Forward is also has screened the people, and we're only mailing to people that have shown interest in the environment. So the environmental message that we're sending should be well received. All of these programs are aimed at people that have kind of iffy voting records. They're the people that vote every election. We don't have to go out and get them. We know they're probably going to vote. It's the people that only vote once in a while that we want to say, this is the year that you really need to do it.
Right.
If you want to save the environment, it's on the ballot this year, and you can vote directly for it. So that's
Right.
what we're saying in our letters and in our phone calls. And so we have
that's kind of cool that it's really a nonpartisan message.
yeah,
You're really just saying, vote. And
yeah,
if
that is
they're
our
already
main message, is vote for the environment, and
Mhm.
and you don't have to. You can send it to everybody, because we're only making that one ask. We're not telling you who your candidate is or isn't. We don't care. We just want you to vote for the environment.
Right.
That's what I write in my letter. Yeah.
And especially in the middle of these the cascading crises that our country has faced the last few months, I think the very one thing I think that everyone could benefit from is practicing their civic duty and reminding themselves that, like, everyone has a stake in this society, even if they might not feel like they are, from people that are in positions of power. I think that's been a common theme that a lot of Americans have felt the last 4 years. So I think that people will definitely be more inclined to listen to what not only our organization has to say, but also just the idea of just being more civically engaged. I think, especially in my generation, a lot more people are realizing that government can be a conduit for good if it is checked by the public. So
Yeah, and probably a lot of your audience has done door-to-door canvassing, which they're familiar with, and is not going to happen this year for the most part. So this is a way you can do something instead of door-to-door canvassing. You're already used to contacting the voter. This is just a different way to do it. This we've had to adapt to the circumstances. So this is the way we're doing our outreach. We wish we could go door to door. We may do some lit drops, but we're not going to be talking to people.
yeah,
I don't think by November. I don't see it getting better by then. So
yeah, this is the safest way to do it, while also trying to reach out to people that will make this election very close. So
yeah,
And I think the other important part about this is that, you hear that there's a lot of groups that feel like they haven't really been contacted that much, like Latino voters in particular. And so that also tend to be very pro-environment. And so I think it's just the same theme that we've been saying, is that we can wait for our, some big organization to try and take it on. But if we all just do our part and take some responsibility, which is what you guys are doing, and saying, this is something, Jim, I think you said that you could do about 20 letters in an hour.
right. Yeah. Once you get onto it, you about 20 letters an hour. And for people these groups that are underrepresented, that's where the Environmental Voter Project comes in, because they're asking people to register to vote. They're asking them to register and get a mail-in ballot. The people in Vote Forward and Postcards to swing states, those people are taken off the voter rolls. So to get new people, then we want to push people toward the phone calls, because we're asking them, are you registered to vote? If you're not, get registered and ask for your mail-in ballot. So we're trying to do both. And it is important that people realize that there is a deadline in each state of when you can get registered. some states right up to election day. That's not the case in Pennsylvania. It's 3 weeks before. So people have to be aware of that and get out there and get registered now.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that we were talking about before we went on camera was some of the stuff about the post office. And so I know there's also campaigns out there about supporting the post office and doing what you can to ensure that those bills are passing. I think what we've been talking about, and this idea with the Green Team Academy and also doing the International Climate Action Challenge, is that when you do it alone, it's kind of hit and miss. You know, you sign up to volunteer, and then the next time they want you, you can't do it, and it kind of falls apart sometimes. So if you do this thing as a team and you set a goal, okay, let's do 1,000. Because if you just said, Jim, 20 letters in an hour, then if you said, all right, let's make a team and let's do 1,000 outreach of some kind to voters.
Yeah.
You know, I could imagine, like for you, Max, that you could do that your team could do 1,000. You get 10 people and they each were to do 100 even, then that could definitely
it'll
work.
be interesting, especially with this being not only an election year, but also dealing with the COVID crisis and just people moving on and off campus based on if they have to quarantine or not. It'll definitely be a different dynamic for reaching out to new people. But there are a lot of public spaces at F&M's campus where a lot of groups and organizations will table because it's just easier to point them out than not.
You have quite a few lobbies where you can spread out and get a half
lobbies,
decent group.
There's a few there's a lot of open green spaces. So if people don't feel comfortable going inside, they can just pass by and like sign up on a laptop that we provide, and then we wipe it down and then start again. Like there's ways of us doing this, even though it may be inconvenient. And I think that is a big part of it too. Just jumping over those hurdles, because even though it might seem tedious, it's very insignificant in comparison to inaction right now.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, you can register to vote online in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's very straightforward.
When we do actual physical get out the vote, we can put our banner up and we can stand back from the table and explain to them how to do it. It'll be signed on to the Pennsylvania website. All they have to do is fill out their information and hit enter. We'll wipe it on the keyboard and the next person can come up. I mean, we can still do it safely, and it is really easy online. It's very, very simple.
And Franklin and Marshall College itself has like a get out the vote program that tables every week, usually in the fall or around election cycles. So I'm sure I'm sure that they would be interested in expanding the amount of tabling that they can do. So that'll just be another contact to reach out to.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's important is that right now, as people are kind of isolated and don't have an opportunity to really work together, you know, you can't play sports or a lot of the things that people would normally do together. And so seeing this opportunity as, okay, let's get together. You know, this gives us a reason to get together. Maybe we can table outside. I did hear Americans for Prosperity was interviewed on NPR a couple days ago. They're doing door knocking. That's a very conservative group that's probably wouldn't be environmental voters. But, you know, so this thing of finding ways to connect to people person to person, especially in this time when people are lonely. And that's what they were saying in this interview, is that they're finding when they do knock on the doors that people are wanting to talk to them for longer, because a lot of people are isolated. And so I think what you guys are talking about is really important as a way to make those kind of human connections and say, you know, we care about you, and we care about the environment, and we think you care about the environment, so we want to work together to make things better. So that sounds good. All right. So and Bill left a message, getting out the vote so important. And yeah, and it's great that there's a way to do pro-environment voters. Let me just see what it's saying here. Do they have a way to coordinate the phone call and mail option? If you reach someone on the phone bank call, can you then send them a letter? Are those?
I don't think the phone bank gives you the address, although I'd have to check. Although if you are connected with something like Vote Builder, there if you use a Vote Builder phone call list, that does give you their physical mailing address as well as their phone number. So if you use that program, you could, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what you guys have showed is that you don't have to start from scratch in any of
Right.
this, but
Yeah.
somebody's already done so much work and you just have to pick up the ball.
Yeah, and just try to get as many other people to join to tag along too.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the big things that we've been learning. I've been learning, especially from my friends in the Philippines and in Africa, about, not to just do a single thing, form a team, and then have that team form a team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So after you okay, now you've tabled with us for a little while. Are you ready to get your own group going? Where else could you do this? Maybe at your faith community or your neighborhood or somewhere else.
That's essentially what happened with when I met Jim, because I met Citizens Climate Lobby through research I was doing over the summer with a professor on climate change and immigration, and we were presenting just this discourse about climate refugees, and instead of focusing on climate resilience versus actually making the entire world and people's home places habitable, rather than have to create these discourses where people's lives are just kind of treated as not lives, like just kind of putting the whole narrative of the immigration debate and of immigration policy on its head, and reminding people that these are human beings that are giving up everything and then some to come here. And so it might be important to hear their perspective. So I got to meet Jim and many other CCL Lancaster members through that. And then from there, I started trying to go to their meetings, and Jim and I would meet separately, and we would do our own little projects with F&M students as well, just trying to bring more students into the activism world, because there's a big appetite for it.
Brainstorming sessions.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of brainstorming, trying to figure out how to make these issues more accessible to people, how to get educated if you really don't know about a lot of these issues, because I'm a government and environmental studies major, and a lot of these topics are ongoing for me. And so a big part of the learning experience has been doing this work with Citizens Climate Lobby and Sunrise Movement, and just talking to people. It's been part of the learning process for me.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's great to meeting you, Max, and to know that you have those other contacts. And so, letting them know that, like, for our 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, if anybody is trying to change an initiative, change a policy, do a river cleanup, like whatever they want to people want to work on, do some kind of racial justice initiative, an environmental or immigrant policy change for how immigrants are handled in your areas. I know we have a lot of issues right here. But
I know if people don't have a project, if they go down through and look at the mentors list, you can get a lot of ideas, because there's a tremendous variety in the mentors of the projects that they offer. So just going down through there and knowing that person will help you do your project is an amazing resource.
Yeah. I mean, we have people that are doing, planting 10,000 trees and just like kind of you name it, working on international waste initiatives, or, starting compost clubs. So pretty much anything that somebody would want to do, that's a place that they could get some help.
There's so many different scales to it. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, then the first place to look is back in your own community, because there's sure to be something that already exists, as you just said. So
yeah,
you don't have to feel like you're going at it alone.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, cool. All right. So we put all the notes to all those different programs in the notes there. Oh, I want to mention there's one more that I found, which is Vote Earth, and that was
Mhm.
one that Derek Mugisha Emanuel had mentioned, and they do have an internship program for university students who want to do outreach around getting out the vote. So I don't know too much about that program, but I put it in there in case that might be something, especially, especially this semester when things are kind of up in the air, might be
Yeah.
nice to have an internship around voter registration.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, something to focus my time in a positive way.
yeah. All right. Well, I think Susan's giving us all the thumbs up. Susan and her
Like the
cat.
cat.
It's her cat.
Yeah,
It's a nice hat.
Mhm.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for everything that you're doing and for sharing what you're doing. And would love to help anybody that wants to do a voter registration team to do it as part of the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, so
Yep.
that
Come and join us.
you can get
Yes.
the book and the workbook and all the mentoring and support, and really have this be the first thing that you do, but not the last thing that you're doing in the world there. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, Max and Jim. And thanks everybody in the Green Team Cafe, Green Team Academy. And we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
having us.
Bye, guys.